as it trickles down, you're developing better linemen. As a coach who may be starting in college, how do you get the recruits to come to you if you don't have the NIL budget? You don't have the fancy marketing techniques. You can't offer him a ride in a Lamborghini. It's like, well, I'm gonna take your skill set where it is now, and by the time you leave here, you're gonna be comparable to those kids with those at those fancy schools. And so for us, like the missing component here is information. And so it's applying that information and with the technology that we have. I mean, when I started coaching high school, and I'm like, you guys have this huddle and you can watch video on the sidelines. Like it's like the NFL.
Yep.
Like the stuff you have, the resources are
Mike,
so crazy today that all that we have to do as coaches is like learn to become better teachers, because it's easy to get stuck in the rut and go, okay, it's week 1, it's Monday, here's the Monday drills, here's the Tuesday
Great
drills.
point.
Instead of going, hey, this is where we really struggled last week. Let's make it a point of emphasis to go, hey, we're going to be better with our feet. We're going to be better at the point of attack, or we're not going to let guys around the edge. We're going to be better at widening rushers and really approach the development that way, rather than just Monday, Tuesday, and as coaches, kids have access to so many gurus on the internet. And if a player comes to you with a question of, hey, coach, why am I doing this? Or how do I do this? Or I'm struggling here, and you don't have an answer, or you're trying to BS an answer, they're going to go to their phone. They're going to go to their phone and go, well, this coach says to do it this way. And we've been around a lot of NFL programs who there's some gurus out there. I'm not going to name names, but they go work with them in the offseason. They come back and they might be bigger. They might be stronger. They might have less body fat, but they are not better at their craft. And it's like they have to unlearn stuff. And
that's a great point.
Like we really believe highly in what we teach, but we're always looking to evolve. And one of the grandfathers of offensive line play, Coach Jim McNally, if you follow him on Twitter, he's the cap lock king. But what's so amazing is all the things that he's brought to our sport. He's always looking to find better ways. And it's like, I love conversations with him, because it's like, you're doing that now? Well, why? We did it this way. And it's like this constant evolving dialect, rather than going, well, I've won X Super Bowls or X championships or whatever. I've always done it this way. This is the best way to do it. And you get to a point in the season where you got to play with a backup, and you're just trying to shove this square peg in a round hole and just be like, just do it harder. And then coaches get frustrated and yell more, instead of going, I need to be able to communicate what I'm asking of my players in different ways. So player A, who hears it how I hear it, but player B is getting the same information, but I'm not getting the same result. Do I just yell at him and get frustrated and say he's an awful player? Or do I figure out where the communication breakdown is? There's some point of the sequence that I'm asking him to do that isn't clicking. My job as a coach is to be his teacher, not to be just some drill sergeant and go, well, if you can't get it done, then I'll just find somebody else. And you may not have the ability in the course of the season to find that replacement. So let's become better teachers of the game and take some more onus on the output by being better on the input side.
I think those are some really great points. One of the big things that I think is not just a challenge for offensive line coaches, but the time constraints they get put under by the head coach a lot of times is gonna be an issue, because they got to get the team and they got to get to this or that. But I think your point about, because of that, you have to be able to say, okay, this is what instead of just doing the drills you always did. And I think that point was really great that you brought up. What was the issues from last week? These were some of the issues we had against this team. How can we correct a couple of these things in this drill period that we have? And then the next day it might be, okay, we're going to work on these things. But constantly doing the same thing without solving problems, I think offensive line that's what those guys are. They are problem solvers, because that's what the position requires. It's not technique and problem solving, right? Like, so I got to fix this from a technical standpoint. I got to fix this from a solution standpoint. And offensive line coaches that don't do that just, they just set you play somebody better than you or as good as you, and you're going to get beat. You know what I mean? I would say it doesn't matter when you're better than, if you're better than everybody else, you're going to have bad technique and still win. It doesn't mean that you're doing things the right way. Right.
Right, right.
So you have to figure out how to constantly evolve that. But I think that's a really good point about constantly evolving what you're teaching, and solving the problems of each week, not just doing your drills to do drills. It's to solve the problems that the guys encountered, and asking them what they encountered too, not just what
It,
you saw on film. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Exactly. And time is our biggest enemy. We never have enough time as coaches. And sometimes
Never.
we feel like the time, like you said, you get to practice and the head coach or the OC wants to put in something, what's going to get scrapped? It's going to be a individual period
An indie
in lieu of a
period.
team period. Yep. Indie period is always first to get scrapped. But so
Always.
part of it's learning how to put more responsibility on the players. And so like when I'm working with young players and they get to the off season and it's like, well, how do I get better? It's like, well, yeah, I got to lift weights. I can get stronger and I get bigger. Like those are the two faster, like those are the bigger, faster, stronger. Like that's the off season development plan that's been in place since the dawn of time. And so for us, it's like, you need to get better at your craft. Now, you're not necessarily based on where you are, rules, whatever, may not be able to be in pads in the off season, but what I always tell guys is like, go back through your season and week to week. Like when you're watching film, don't just sit there and be like, and everybody's done it. It's like, oh gosh, here comes that play that I screwed up on. Coach is gonna get mad at me, and so you're not even like watching yourself
Right.
like objectively because you're like worried about how bad is coach gonna be mad at me in front of all my
Yep.
buddies.
You're waiting for it. You're waiting for that to come
What
down.
answer? Yeah. So you're not really objectively watching the film. Instead, I'm like, hey, get out a piece of notebook paper or however you take notes and start writing down your breakdowns. Was it, on this play? Start with the play. What play did I have a minus or a failing result? And look for patterns of failure. And so week to week, I can figure out where am I struggling the most at. And sometimes it's confidence, sometimes it's technical. And sometimes in the off season, if I have all this data that I can go back to and go, man, I really struggled at pulling, or I really struggled when we ran inside zone and I had a base block, or I really struggled when I had an end who got really wide and I was turning my hips and I got beat inside a lot. And so if I can that, like, to me, that's where the most growth occurs, is when you look at those patterns of failure and you go, that's where I'm going to spend my time getting better at that. And yeah, I gotta lift weights, I gotta run and do all that normal stuff. That's like that again, the standard is the standard of your program. Like doing the standard, there's a lot of players today that want the pat on the back. That's the price for being on the team. Now, how do I improve? Well, I got to do above whatever that standard is asked of me. And again, the information, it's a lot of players are like, well, how do I get better? What do you need? So when I work with a player one-on-one, I go, what did you struggle with last year? And a lot of them are like, well, as coaches, let's give these players ways to self-scout themselves. So when they get to the off
Right.
season, a lot of high schools are getting close to that point where they can go, I can look back at my body of work from this season. Some programs even are able to film practice. So you have this body of
Yep.
work that you can look back on
They
and
do.
go, I've struggled at XYZ, but then I don't really work on it until spring ball or next fall camp, or the lineman challenges that are nonsense, the underwear Olympics and the dumb one-on-ones that they do for all the online clout. It's like, work on your craft so when football comes back for real
Right.
and your
You're
team is
ready.
depending on you, like that's because the reality is, like, every high school kid's like, I want to play college football. Well, the reality of that is it's different. I was a 3-star kid coming out of high school, went to ASU, and they're like, you're going to redshirt. That's very rare today at those Power 5 schools. They want a
Play
kid
now.
out of high school that is at least 2 deep ready. Can we project you in the next year to be 2 deep ready? If yes, then you're going to get an offer. Or you're going to go and they're going to, within that first year, they're going to make a determination. Nope, we're going to be best to find a transfer portal kid who's going to be closer to what we're looking for. We don't have to invest as much development. We just need to polish him. And so if I'm a high school kid that really wants to play at that next level, well, I need to spend a lot of time reinforcing my training habits to make sure I'm using my time appropriately. That's filling the buckets that need to be filled, right? Like height. There's not much you can do to grow your height in a given off season outside sleep and maybe looking at your nutritional profile, but your foot speed, how well you use your hands. When I go to a college practice, everybody, all the little walk through tempos, everybody goes fast. Everybody's fast feet, but their hands are slow motion, and it pisses me off. And I end up ripping the offensive line that I'm get to watch because I'm like, your coaches expect attention to detail with your footwork, getting to your steps, getting to your landmarks. But why are you being lazy with your hands? And then you wonder why your hands are so lazy, so inconsistent on game day. And so it's the adages of being precise.
And Mike, is that